Hey everyone, Torn here, and welcome back to your weekly dose of Linux goodness. The holiday season might have slowed things down a bit, but don't you worry, there's still a ton of exciting news to unpack. We've got a new kernel release candidate, a flurry of distro updates, and some major shakeups in the world of GPU drivers that you're definitely going to want to hear about. Plus, a vast development in the AI space that's going to have a massive impact on the future of open source. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Alright, let's kick things off with the heart of our systems, the kernel. Linus Torvalds, in his typical holiday spirit, or lack thereof, dropped Linux 6.19-RC3 on us. As expected, it's a pretty small release. A lot of developers were off enjoying some well-deserved time with their families, so this is primarily a bug-fixing affair. The most critical fix in this release is for ARM64 EFI systems. A nasty bug was causing them to crash at boot on Linux 6.19, and that's now been squashed. So, if you're running Linux on an ARM-based machine, you can breathe a little easier. Beyond that, we're seeing the usual assortment of driver updates for GPUs, sound, and USB, along with some smaller fixes for PowerPC, RISC-V, and file systems like SMB and NFSD. Linus himself said, "Another week, another RC release." Except the past week has obviously been the holiday week, and this RC release is pretty small as a result, very much as expected. He's anticipating things will still be a bit sluggish next week as everyone gets back into the swing of things. The full stable release of Linux 6.19 is expected around early February 2025. So nothing earth-shattering, but steady progress, and that's what we like to see. Now let's talk distros. The holidays didn't stop the release train for several projects. First up, we have Elementary OS 8.1. This is a big one for them, as they've now enabled the Wayland session by default and added ARM64 support. It's great to see them pushing forward with modern technologies. For all you security-minded folks, Parrot 7.0 is out. This ethical hacking distro has made the jump to KDE Plasma as its default desktop, and now includes support for the RISC-V architecture, a major version release with some very welcome changes. Then we have PorteuX 2.5, a Slackware-based distro that's all about choice. This release adds Flatpak support and a whole smorgasbord of desktop environments, including the new Cosmic desktop from System76. It's running Linux 6.18 and Cinnamon 6.6, so it's packed with up-to-date software. And for the mobile Linux enthusiasts, postmarketOS 25.12 has been released. Based on Alpine Linux 3.23, this project continues to make impressive strides in bringing an actual Linux experience to smartphones and other mobile devices. We also saw new releases from Nobara, KDE Neon, and CentOS Stream, so it's been a busy week for distro hoppers. Speaking of desktops, the big news this week is the continued progress of KDE Plasma's transition to Wayland. KDE developer Nate Graham published a blog post highlighting their successes in 2025, and it's clear they're all in on Wayland. They've added support for HDR, improved color management, enhanced drawing tablet support, and much more. Earlier reports showed that 79% of Plasma 6 users are already on Wayland, which is a testament to how far it's come. The plan is to drop the X11 session entirely in Plasma 6.8, scheduled for early 2027. They'll still support X Wayland for running older apps, but the future of the Plasma desktop is clearly Wayland. It's a massive undertaking, and it's exciting to see it nearing completion. In other KDE news, Fedora has promoted its KDE Plasma spin to co-equal status with its flagship GNOME edition. This is a huge vote of confidence in the Plasma desktop, and great news for KDE fans who prefer the Fedora ecosystem. Alright, let's talk hardware. And boy, is this a tale of two companies. First, the good news. If you're rocking an older AMD GPU, you're in for a treat. The upcoming Linux 6.19 kernel is bringing a performance boost of up to 30% for Southern Islands and Sea Islands GPUs. We're talking about cards from over 13 years ago, like the Radeon HD 7000 series. This is all thanks to the migration from the old Radeon driver to the modern AMD GPU driver. This gives these legacy cards access to the modern Mesa graphics stack and the RAD-V Vulkan driver. It's a perfect example of the Linux community's dedication to supporting older hardware and breathing new life into it. It's just fantastic to see. Now, for the not-so-good news. NVIDIA has decided to drop support for its Pascal-based GPUs. That's the GTX 10 series in its latest driver branch. And for Arch Linux users, this has caused some chaos. When they update their systems, the new driver fails to load, and they're unceremoniously dumped into the command line. The fix is to install a legacy driver from the Arch user repository, which a single volunteer maintains. And to make matters worse, this legacy driver breaks Steam AMD has taken. It's just a world of difference. Now, for what is the biggest news of the week and maybe even the year, the Linux Foundation has launched the Agentic AI Foundation, or AAIF. This is a new organization dedicated to fostering open-source agentic AI technologies, and they're starting with a bang. Anthropic has donated its Model Context Protocol, or MCP, to the foundation. OpenAI has contributed agents.md, and Block has donated its Goose framework. These are three of the most critical projects in the agentic AI space, and they're now under the neutral umbrella of the Linux Foundation. MCP is being called the USB-C of AI. It's a universal connector that allows AI agents to interact with external tools and data in a standardized way. This is a huge deal. It's going to replace the fragmented plugin ecosystem we have now and make it much easier to build powerful, interoperable AI agents. And with companies like AWS, Microsoft, Google, and Cloudflare on board as founding members, this is a clear sign that the future of AI is open and collaborative. On the community front, the Document Foundation is dropping the community branding from LibreOffice to simplify its identity. CatchyOS, the performance-optimized Arch-based distro, has announced plans for a server edition. And Hyperland, the popular tiling Wayland compositor, has released version 0.53 with a new crash recovery launcher and a host of other improvements. So, there you have it. A week of big wins for AMD and open source AI, and a bit of a stumble for NVIDIA on the Linux desktop. It's a constantly evolving landscape, and that's what makes it so exciting. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. What was the most interesting piece of news to you? And as always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more Linux content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in 2026, hopefully with a great Linux year. All the best wishes, and see you in the next one.